Welcome to the Lavish Leader, Unveiling Wisdom, a podcast by the Lavish Group. We are a community of powerful leaders and creators. Each one of us is on a different path and from a different background, but we all embody aspects of what it means to truly live a lavish life. And we are here to share our stories. I'm your host, Dr. Erin Martin. Welcome to this episode of the Lavish Leader, Unveiling Wisdom. Today, I have a really powerful conversation for you, and it is about the power of your word. Now, in the Lavish framework, voice is one of the words that go with the letter V of lavish. And love of self, which is the L in lavish, is this ribbon that is woven through the entire framework. And how we use our voice can be talked about in many different ways, but understanding the fundamentals of the power of our voice will allow you to become the master creator of your life, truly. So I want to talk about this because I think that it is something that a lot of people might understand on one level, particularly for those high achieving people who are already leaders, leading groups. They understand their word holds weight and clout and all of that. But this is going to be on a whole different level. So I'm so glad that you're here today because I don't believe in coincidences. And let's dive in. The power of your word. So mastering the use of your words. In order to do this, you must also be in a certain level of awareness. And that requires that you master your mind, master your thoughts, be aware of what you're thinking, be aware of the direction of your energy flow. And as we talk about universal law, everybody kind of understands, cause and effect. But these points that we're going to talk about in this conversation are going to help you understand that on a whole different level. Because what I guarantee is that the majority of us are living as the effect and not as the cause. And to be truly in a state of lavish life and leadership and mastery and ownership and divinity, really, we have to be living as the cause and not as the effect. So let's talk about the power of your word. And first, I want to talk about mastering the use of your words. Lao Tzu says, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. And this man was very, very wise. Our words are so powerful. They have the power to speak life or death to our lives and to the lives of others. And not only that, our words set universal law into motion, which means they hold not only potential and possibility, but for better or worse, they are quite possibly the cause of the effect you may be experiencing right now. So ask yourself these questions. What do you call yourself? How do you talk to yourself? What have you been saying to yourself about who you are, where you came from, what you're capable of, what's hard for you, and what you can and cannot do? Are you in control of the words that come out of your mouth? Do you use your words to move in the direction of wholeness and connection and completeness, or do you use them to illustrate your fears and shortcomings? Have you mastered the power of your words to speak truth and negate the false thoughts and beliefs that run through your head? And can you use your words to stay in integrity with yourself? Or is what comes out of your mouth serving to keep you tethered to the whims of other people's wants and desires with our simple, yes or no? So these are big questions. I totally understand that, but there are definitely things that we need to be thinking about. And more than thinking about, having awareness about and taking action on. So the other side of this is anyone who diminishes the value and power of the words we speak is living, I'm sorry, but ignorant to both science and psychology and humanity and spirituality. So that whole adage that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I am sorry, but it is total bullshit. When we are in a more advanced or practiced state of awareness and maturity, we may be able to regulate our reactions to the fiery words and subtle innuendos of others. But what I'm talking about here is mastering the power and use of your words to create and maintain integrity with yourself. And that can be yourself. And what I'm really talking about is your higher self, the one that is really in charge, your eternal self, your soul. So this is one of the foundational skills of an awakened life that goes way beyond the playground trifles or living room arguments with your partner or your parent or your teenager, in my case. But once mastered, this is going to bring about a whole new level and experience of life that allows you to go, as I said before, from living as the effect to living as the cause. And there is no greater feeling of agency or sovereignty than this. You are the master creator of your own life, not just in theory, but in actual real life, right before your eyes, day to day, watching it all unfold on purpose. Can you imagine that? Like, oh my goodness, that would be so amazing, right? And that is a possibility for all of us. So, what about your word? In the best-selling book, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, if you haven't read it, highly, highly recommended. You can find a link to that book on my website on the resources page. But the first agreement in this book is to be impeccable with your word. And Don Miguel Ruiz's explanation of this is the most compelling and insightful one I have ever heard. So, to most people, and myself included, being impeccable with our word means that we do what we say we're going to do. And that's not really far off from the whole idea of what it means to have integrity. But with a deeper and even a broader understanding of it, exactly what our words have the power to create, we can count on this. Listen up. We can count on this. Our words do what they say they are going to do. So on a macrocosmic level, to a person with integrity, our words serve to keep us on track and accountable to what we said we would do. But on a microcosmic level, understanding that our words create our life and being impeccable with them, which means being damn careful with what we say to ourselves, about others, about situations and circumstances, and about what is possible, that keeps us in integrity with ourselves. And if we are really conscious about it, our highest selves. So it is our power to create from a place of alignment. And from that place, things feel good and they feel right. So in his book, The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz says, being impeccable with your word is the correct use of your energy. It means to use your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself. Now, how does that line up with how we talk about others? Well, in the way that this universe works, the cause and effect thing, the law of attraction, all sorts of different ways have been kind of made up or created to explain this phenomenon. But this is how it works. When we focus our attention with our words or with our thoughts towards anything, that is what we will find happening in our life. So if we are gossiping about other people, that is actually misdirecting our energy towards ourself. It is not loving ourself to talk unlovingly or negatively about anybody else. Also, like being negative about things all of the time. It's one thing to be talking about a negative effect in a way because you want to be more solution oriented. There is a difference between that and speaking negative for negative sake or to have drama or to get attention or all of the different reasons that we do it. And believe me, we all do it, myself included. So this is really, really important to understand how to direct your energy. And being impeccable, or as I like to say, immaculate with your word, because that word speaks more to how I need to actually do it, if you will. When you come to a place in your life that has taken you a very long time and much suffering to arrive at, understanding the power of your word is paramount to transcending the hell that you've been stuck in. If healing, as the way that I know it, and the truth of what healing actually is simply the revealing of truth, then let the truth that your word creates, your reality, be understood. I'm going to say that again. Let the truth that your word creates your reality be understood. Using your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself not only can be healing, it is creative. It's cause and effect, baby, pure and simple. Whether it's how you talk to yourself or how you talk to others, the fiery darts you energetically hurl at your partner, the nasty commentary in your head about your own body, your own mistakes, or your own shortcomings, or the gossip about your work colleague, life will mirror it all back to you in one way or another. If that is the frequency, the vibration that you are resonating with, and everything is energy, that is physics, then that is what is going to be the limit of what you are able to create and receive in life. Does that make sense? Let me repeat that again. If what you are thinking and saying, whether it is positive, negative, high vibe, low vibe, whatever vibration, frequency you are putting out or resonating with, and as I said, everything is energy. And you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what it feels like, what your energy is like when you're mad, when you're pissed off, when you're thinking negative. And you know what your energy is and what you're putting off and what other people are able to sense from you when you are happy and ecstatic and positive and optimistic. Completely different things, right? So, whatever that is that you are resonating with, life or the universe or other people, other circumstances, whatever you want to call it, that is what is going to be sent back your way. Your superb word makes it so. And your word might not be so superb. And that might be why you're not experiencing such superb things at the moment. And if you feel like you've come a long way, but you still can't quite seem to get where you want to go in terms of if you're trying to heal from something, you're trying to release something, or you're trying to move beyond your past, pay really close attention to how you're using your words in every aspect of your life, because it's all connected. You will very likely find that the purity of your words you are speaking or thinking is lacking. So, does this go back to self-love, that self-love ribbon that we talk about in the Lavish framework? Yes. Does this have to do with healing? What does this have to do with healing? Everything. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, I'm sorry, but it doesn't really matter, because whether you believe it or not, the truth is truth. We have been conditioned to believe the negative lies about ourselves and about others. And revealing the truth begins with recognizing and negating them so that there is space for the flame of truth to grow. Does this all make sense? I really hope that it does, because it is so, so super important. The next thing that I want to talk about is the power of the word no. This is a concept that I have been talking with my patients, my clients with for the greater part of 2 decades. So this aspect of the power of your word is in your ability to use your no's to protect your yeses. In other words, the power of the word no and getting very comfortable using it so that you can protect what you really value. Now, some people are good at this, but most of us are not. Most of us tend to be people pleasers to some degree or another, agreeing to all sorts of things that don't feel aligned or that sidetrack us on our paths toward what we truly desire. Fear of missing out is another big reason why we don't say no. Fear of missing an opportunity, fear of not being in control, fear of failing, fear of making the wrong decision. Do any of these sound familiar? I made that list because those are all of some of the fears that I have. I know all of these very intimately. Now, I used to teach my patients and my clients about the power of saying no more often as a matter of principle that I felt very strongly about because I saw way too many people saying yes to way too many things that ended up making them worn out, strung out, and miserable. I would write about the power of saying no. I talked about it publicly. I pretty much preached about it. But unfortunately, this was one of the areas that I could talk the talk, but I was not walking the walk. When I myself became burnt out and depressed, what I realized was that I was not honoring my own boundaries with those very same people I was so adamant about teaching to say no. Now, it's a very easy trap to fall into, wanting to do the best for others, help them out, go the extra mile, and make a difference. It's a very admirable thing that many people would agree with you about. Yet, when it becomes a ceaseless pattern or a habitual way of life that takes a toll on your health, your relationships, and your quality of life, and you find yourself joyless, exhausted, uninspired, you name it, that is when you know that the people pleasing has become pathological. Maybe it started as a way to gain someone's love or admiration as a child. That's how it was for me. And when it worked, even if it was only sometimes, I was hooked. I had found a way in, and being the one who others could count on, whether it was for the answers, to fix things, to do the hard things others did not want to do, it had a big payoff. One that I found in no other way. Over the years, I honed this skill like I was a master craftsman. And even as an adult, I skirted my own boundaries for this payoff. Over the years, and I have been married for almost 30 years, my husband and I have had countless arguments as he has watched me negotiate with my own non-negotiables. It was beyond frustrating for him to see me run myself into the ground in this way over and over again. But I had a reason and a justification for everything and would not be deterred. And that led to years later, after burnout number 2, I learned that a codependent behavior was a trauma response. It all began to make sense in that way, and my awareness expanded very quickly as soon as I saw that. For me, more or less, it's all about control. And for people who have this response because of past trauma, however big or small that may have been, it is more or less about control. I had manipulated my whole life, contorted it into every possible position and shape, and squeezed it into every very well-meaning and prestigious box so that I could be in control. Now, this was a veiled attempt, to be sure, but the truth of it, nonetheless. I mean, come on, if I could control how others felt about me, looked at me, spoke about me, thought about me, well, then wasn't I in control? And dang, if I had the answers, if I had the knowledge to fix things, if I was good at pulling the rabbit out of the hat when no one else could, didn't I have an obligation to do so? I mean, come on now. Do you see the conditioned justification in that? What makes a lot of this patterning hard to recognize and get away from, too, is that our society and culture would agree with many of our justifications. I heard many, many times that if I can help someone, then it is my duty and obligation to do so. And that was not only from my medical colleagues or my medical training or education, that was from people that weren't even in the medical community. So, pulling out of this nosedive requires a consciousness of our patterns and a willingness to be honest with ourselves. Let me put that in a different tense. If you want to pull out of this nosedive, you've got to develop a consciousness of your patterns and a willingness to be honest with yourself. Just as important, it requires you to be clear about what you truly want to say yes to in your life. In other words, what you value and what you want to create. Using your no's to protect your yeses is an accountability project that pays life's greatest dividends. Imagine, just for a minute, having the life you truly desire. All of it, every single drop. How do you get that? Well, you get crystal clear about what you really want. And then when opportunities or situations cross your path, you ask yourself this one question: will this bring me closer to what I want? Now, one of the problems here, just a little side note, is that a lot of people are not clear, do not have the clarity about what it is they truly desire. I'm not talking about what makes logical sense or even what path you're currently on. I'm talking about stopping, tuning in, and getting very clear about what yourself, your soul, your highest being truly desires. Where does the inspiration for the purpose in your life come from? That divine place is where you will find this information. Now, if you are not clear on this, and I will tell you from my experience in 20 years of working with patients and clients, over 80% of people are not crystal clear on what they truly desire. I have a tool for you. If you go to my resources page on my website, drerinmartin.com/resources, you will find the 5 pillars for power and purpose mini course. Just saying, little plug for that there, because it is completely designed to help get you moving in this direction in understanding what it is you truly desire. Back to our regularly scheduled programming, we are talking about getting crystal clear about what you want so that when the opportunities or situations cross your path, you can ask yourself this one question: will this bring me closer to what I want? And there are 3 possible answers: yes, no, or maybe. If the answer is yes, wonderful. Dive in, catch the wave, get in the flow, go for it. If the answer is no, back away. Don't waste time, not even for the instant gratification of the moment. And very importantly, don't overthink it. Go with your gut, go with your instinct, go with your intuition. You can't see the future, so make it a matter of principle that you don't head down any path that feels out of alignment from the start. Because let's be real here, like when things start out feeling iffy, they seldom improve down the road. Now, the third possible answer is maybe. If the answer is maybe, don't commit yet. Get more information. Ask clarifying questions. Run through the possible scenarios. Be patient. Don't feel like you have to decide right away. And don't let anyone pressure you into a decision. As a rule of thumb, if an answer is demanded, and I feel like I need more information and or more time to think it over and feel it out, then the answer is no. If you are important to the opportunity that someone else is presenting you, then there is time for you to fully consider things. If for some reason there is no time, then you are not as important to the situation as they are making you out to be. And that is a red flag, my friends. And it is time to move on. All right. I hope you are considering these things, because sometimes I know that the truth can sting a little bit, but I have a feeling that this is information that you needed to hear. I want to talk about something else called opportunity cost. Have you heard of this? Opportunity cost is what you have to give up, the loss of value or the loss of potential gain when you choose an opportunity. This is a real thing. This is a thing that they talk about and teach in business school. It's a real thing. It also has even deeper implications than the business aspect of things, for sure. This has implications in your entire life, every segment of your life, every aspect, and it has implications for your future, your creative process, your spiritual being. Remember that every time you say yes to something, you are also saying no to something else. So That's really important. It might be that you say yes to joining a committee at work, or you say yes to getting cocktails for a happy hour with your colleagues, which are all fine and good. But what are you saying no to in order to take those opportunities? Those are things to consider, because you might be saying no to something or someone else that you highly value even more than those things you're saying yes to. Is the opportunity in front of you worth dropping everything right this minute to give all of my time and energy to? This is a really huge question when something is presented to you. Because if every time we're saying yes to something, we're also saying no to something else, we have to look at it maybe from more of an extreme end of the spectrum in order to get the overall idea of what saying yes to this might actually mean for the big picture. So, is this opportunity worth dropping everything right this minute to give all of my time and energy to? If it is, like, get on board. Yes, this is going to take me even closer. This is going to make things easier for me. This is going to collapse the timeline through which I get things done, and it's going to align. Wonderful. But if it's not, then strongly consider saying no. If it's not worth dropping everything right this minute to give all of your time and all of your energy to, consider saying no. Definitely. Have the mentality that everything you say yes to becomes the new number one priority. And if you can't afford for it to become the new one thing that you, your life, and your resources are all focused on, then let it go. The opportunity cost is too high. You don't have to spend hours or days analyzing the pros and the cons, the ifs and the buts. It's actually quite simple. So let it be simple. Ask yourself this question, answer it honestly and quickly, make the decision, and move on. Now, some of us are really good at doing this from a business aspect, but we are not so good at doing it from a relationship or personal standpoint in our life. As I said before, everything is connected. What you do in one aspect of your life not only has a ripple effect in all the other aspects of your life, but it becomes the pattern that you will start to see everywhere. Now, the no coin has a very shiny and a brilliant flip side, though. When you say no to something, you are also very definitively and simultaneously saying yes to something else. You may think that you don't always know quite yet what that is, but in the very least, you are saying yes to you or to someone you love. So try doing something like putting your own email address or the email address of your partner or loved one in the BCC line when you send that thank you, but no thank you email. And remind yourself how very real this is and the intentional way you are designing your life and wielding your power to create it. It's a wonderful little practice that is tangible that you can see, wait a minute, I am intentionally creating my life. Here's a little note to let me know, or here's a little note to let my partner know. It's not about an attaboy or an attagirl that you're patting yourself on your back. See, I said no to this. It's definitely not used as a dig if you're having a disagreement with your partner about how much time you're spending doing things or saying yes to things. It's really about a conscious way of building awareness around the use of your power in your words. So when you know what is truly valuable to you, and the presence of those things in your life becomes the driving force for the decisions you make, the actions you take, and the words that you speak, then don't let anything close to it that could possibly pull you away from it. Guard it ferociously with your words. Perfect your no's to guard your yeses. Plain and simple. Now, in the second part of this series on the power of your word, I'm going to talk with you about asking for what you need and becoming a masterful communicator. I hope you will join me as we talk about that and sum up this entire idea about the power of your word. The Lavish Leader, Unveiling Wisdom is brought to you by Dr. Erin Martin and the Lavish Group. To find out more about Dr. Erin and how you can create and embody a lavish life for yourself, visit thelavishgroup.com. And don't forget to search for Lavish Leader in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. and click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at the Lavish Group, thanks for listening. And remember, you too can live a lavish life of fulfillment, beauty, and love.